Well, I did it again. Yet another new segment in the video. Alright, so I've started to take this apart. I started off by pulling the hoses off here. You can see this one's dripping. The reason I did that is when I undo the top, the fluid's going to run out and I can have my catch basin under here. One thing I found, and by the way, these fittings are 19 millimeters. This guy's crimped tight enough it doesn't want to come apart. So what I did is I just put a 17 millimeter wrench under there where it'll catch and just tap it with a mallet. Excuse me, so I've got the first one out, and I'm going to go ahead and tap this one apart, and then I'll go ahead and get these top two lines taken off. I guess I'll show you here real quick what I'm talking about. This is the 17 millimeter wrench. See, it'll slip right in there, and let's try that again. It's 17, it slips right on there, and I can tap right here. The pipes are anchored, so they're not going to go anywhere. Let me get that apart and get those lines off. All right, looking at this a little more, these lines are also getting replaced, and they've got fluid in them. So I really should have disconnected the hydraulic lines on the left side of the tractor rather than the right, so the whole thing would bleed out. I temporarily put these back on and moved my oil catching under there. They're just finger tight, so I'll be able to get them apart after I take the plates off, and then I'm going to lift those out in an entire piece. All right, the two lines that run down and across are out. They flopped all over the place. You can see I missed my bucket a little bit. In hindsight, it's good that these were only finger tight, then I was able to get them apart. So I think it's a good idea to break at least the right side loose before you unclamp these. So I've got them sitting there. We'll just let those things finish bleeding out, and I'll go over to the bench and try to figure out how the next pieces go together. Alright, so I think I've got the pieces figured out. These two go across the loader with the cylinders for the curl and dump hooked in at these points. Then this will go up to the diverter valve. And then these are the hard lines that come down the loader arm. And like I have them here, top, bottom, bottom. So that's what goes on there. I expect we got some kind of fittings that'll go on these. We'll get into as we go. But I think the first thing I'll do is I'll get these guys put on finger tight, and then we'll get the cover bracket back on, and then get the valve and hoses on and work our way back up the loader arm. Okay, the current update. I've got the pipes running across and under this new cover that clamps them in place. I will say, getting those into the cover, at least partially connected to the hoses, was a challenge. I used to be a mechanic, and I'm pretty good at juggling things. If you're doing this and you're not good at using the odd finger to hold something, you may want to enlist a helper. The hoses on this side, the fittings pointed that way. You can turn them, I'll show on this one. If you just loosen that, it'll swivel right here, and you can turn them so they face the right direction. Getting to all these fittings is tough. I didn't tighten this up so I could move them around. I'm going to leave it loose until after the valve's on and I have these hoses connected, because I'll bet I have to keep doing that. So what I'm going to do next is mount the diverter valve, get the hoses going over here. Alright, I've got the diverter valve mounted. I tightened this plate down. I've got the hoses on that'll go to the T's there. Fortunately, they have part numbers on them, and the part numbers are in the instructions. I can see that I'm going to be able to get to these to tighten them down, so I went ahead and did that. I tried to position these lines so I didn't have hoses rubbing. I think I was successful in that. What's going to have to happen to the valve is these 6 plugs are going to have to be removed. 4 here, and there's some down there. And couplers will have to be put in. And that could have been done on the bench. It might have been easier. But these are what the couplers look like. There are 2 types. These are the ones that go on the top and the front, and each of them gets this sealing ring on it. And then there's a larger coupler that's used with these hydraulic couplers. So we'll have to get that all put together. So I think I may have misspoken with these tubes that went across the loader. I think I said the long one goes on top. That's going to be true for the arm, but going across the loader, it's actually the shorter one. So I've got a text message, so this video is going to get interrupted, and then I'll probably break for lunch, and we'll see you guys this afternoon. Thank you.